Welcome to the Cyberculture Cafe series by Cyber Talks, presented by eSentire. I'm Andy Laguna and I'm here with my friend and colleague, John Moretti. Together, we're excited to introduce you to some fascinating members of the eSentire family. In this series, you'll get to know their story, the challenges, their successes, how they got here, what motivates and drives them to deliver the best service experience in the industry. This is Cyberculture Cafe. Welcome back to another episode of the Cyberculture Cafe podcast, where John and Andy will introduce you to another fascinating member of the eSentire family, how they got here, what motivates and drives them to deliver the best service experience in the industry. Well, welcome Alexander Faye to the podcast. Alex, give us a little brief intro of where you are in the company now and your current roles and responsibilities, and we'll start from there.
So I guess my current role, I'm VP in charge of eSentire Labs, and we do cybersecurity research and sort of experimental projects, and we kind of facilitate that for the company here. And I came up through the Security Operations Center, and I did a stint in technical product management and corporate strategy, and sort of worked my way here over the course of the last 13 years or so.
13 years. Holy Toledo. So when you say eSentire Labs and like research and doing, is it like Area 51 where you guys have like hidden projects there?
Kind of.
That nobody knows about. Yeah, that's awesome. How cool is that?
It's it's the most fun job ever.
I bet. I mean, that would be pretty cool. Like, have you ever, is it like you're thinking of these ideas and you're like, you know what, I think this will work. Let's try it. And how do you, like, obviously you must have a team, right, that works with you. How do you get them to say, hey, listen, what do you think of this idea when it may be crazy? You're like, nah, that's never going to work, but let's try it. No one's doing this, right? How do you get people to be like, let's follow what he's saying. Let's try it. Why not?
I mean, it's kind of almost the other way around.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I have the team sort of split up. We've got like a dev crew, which is very small, but sort of works on making sure that we've got technical enablement for the ideas that we've got. And then we've got a couple of like really long-standing security people who've been here for a very long time and have demonstrated that they can kind of, self-gravitate towards cool new ideas. And so the two of them together and then a little bit of support on the side is sort of what we've got that runs the team. And then when something new comes out, like probably the most fun one in the last couple of years was when Gen AI dropped. We all go look at it and go, hey, this is a really neat new technology. That's going to do some interesting things for security. Let's go explore them.
How do you set the guide rails for that though? Because obviously, you can explore down a path and you go, hang on a second, perhaps we're veering off in the wrong direction. How do you keep, because I mean, obviously you come up with a concept, everyone gets excited about it and they all go off in tangents. How do you keep that directed?
Yeah, I mean, so we have like sort of like a lab space that we've carved out inside the company. And then inside of there, I can publish like strategic guidelines and things that we're trying to accomplish together as a group. And they're pretty high guardrails, but it's things like, hey, this quarter we're focusing on driving bookings in a particular area, or this, like, they're actually like high level corporate goals that we're looking for. And then, so I got a background in the product management side. And as projects come in, I actually just evaluate them. We've got a metric system and everything that we've set up around it. And we take a look and we say, hey, is this actually going to move the needle in one of the strategic areas that we're trying to hit as a company?
So that's cool. So they all come to you and say, here, I got this idea. What do you think? And I think that's unique. I've never heard of another organization doing that, like giving the freedom for the folks to say, explore, bring out something creative and something new. It's like, I was watching a movie the other day. It was Jobs, right? About Steve Jobs and stuff. And he was like, we want you to be creative. We want you to do this. We want it to be one with what you're doing, and the customer at the end, like us, they want us to be one with them, right? We're part of their team. So for me, I think that's unique that we do that. I think that's incredible. Have you ever gotten an idea from somebody where you're like, there's no way that is the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life.
I'm pretty open to crazy ideas.
Yeah.
So that's a hard
That's
one.
good.
Hang on. How crazy is crazy then, Alex?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, usually by the time they get to me, it's already gone through one of the guys on the security side, and they're like, I think this thing has some legs. I'm trying to think of some of the projects that we've got. So like generative AI threat hunting. I had one come from... So one of the guys on my team has a background in cognitive psychology, and he wanted to explore the personality of different LLMs and see if the personality of LLMs as it was interacting with you would shift in response to different queries, and if you could actually measure that on different dimensions and use it to build a behavioral detection. So that was pretty
brilliant. That's a brilliant
that's
question.
Crazy. That's absolutely nuts.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
That's actually unique. Yeah.
And the response, what did the response come back then?
Well, he's got his data set. He's not spending a lot of like company time on it, but I think he pokes at it once in a while and tries to evaluate it. We did actually build a whole data set around measuring different characteristics of how people were using generative AI. And the cool thing about the lab side of it is it's not just our team. We're open to everybody in the company. So if somebody comes to us and they say they want to do this, we'll try and sort of just provide the minimum resources to give them room to play. And then that's something. So if you're in the SOC or whatever, and you're like, hey, I'd really like to try this red team research project, or I want to POC this thing, and you can't get approved time from your manager, but you really want to go for it anyway, the lab's always there. The doors are open, and we'll staff it. We've got the infrastructure there, and we'll give the breathing room so that people can sort of explore things on their own. So, yeah.
See, that's awesome. I mean, that's truly unique. I mean, most people don't get an opportunity to do that, and for us to allow our coworkers to do that, that's awesome, because that's where you find something, I think, unique. I mean, everything, if you think about through history, right? There must have been somebody who said, I have an idea, let me try this. And they were like, no way. Like flying, right? The Wright brothers. Who in their right mind is going to get into this little concoction you built and go up in the air? And look at us today, right? We're flying around the world. So it's like these little ideas, they can grow into something amazing. So let me ask you this. When you first started, was this something you thought, oh, I want to do this for the rest of my life? Or were you going to do something totally different? Like, were you going to be like a baseball player or like something?
I don't know. I mean,
how did you get into this?
Well, I discovered when I was about 4 that magic wasn't real and you couldn't be an actual wizard. So the next best thing was computers, and I started learning to code.
4 years old is a proper disappointment, isn't it?
Started learning to code around, I guess, 5 or 6, and then I got into the security side by the time I was 7 or 8. And I sort of had the experimentation in the 90s when there was no law or anything really established around what you could and could not do with a computer, and it was all Wild West. So that was where I sort of explored it. And I always wanted to invent things, and I always loved the game of cybersecurity. And then eventually I kind of gravitated towards this in my 20s. I ran a LAN gaming shop for a while, which was really fun. It was like a one-man IT show for that. Smoke machines and Call of Duty and stuff like that. And
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you play a lot of games now?
I play some, not anywhere near as many as I used to. Like I played when I was running the LAN center, but yeah, I probably play like a couple hours a week or whatever.
Nice. Now, do you prefer the Xbox or the PlayStation?
Neither. I'm a console guy.
No, so you're a real hardcore on the PC kind of thing. That's awesome. Did you build your own PC for that stuff?
Way back in the day, yeah. It's still chugging along. I haven't updated it since I had kids.
Yeah.
He looks under the desk. Yeah, it's still there.
It's still there. There you go. That's awesome. What a fun thing and what a passionate thing to do, and bring that out, and then eventually find something like a job and you get paid to do something you truly love. I mean, that's unique. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. Wow.
So what do you do then to relax then? Obviously a couple of hours of gaming a week, and what else crosses your...
I got lots of hobby projects. I mean, I got 2 kids, so that takes up a good chunk of time. I do rock climbing. when I got out here, I built my own internet solution. That was kind of fun.
Wait, hold on. Stop right there. What do you mean internet solution? Like, what do you mean?
I got two 50-foot radio towers out on my property. I live in a provincial park, and I set up cellular repeaters with Yagis to connect to a bunch of different towers. And then I did like a channel bonding solution to get a broadband connection. So when I got here, there wasn't even cellular service. There was absolutely nothing.
So you built the internet to connect to your house. You connected to the internet you built it. So we'll connect to you. So you can.
Yeah, I mean, plug and play existing stuff, but like Citizens band for cellular, you're allowed to go up to a higher decibel if you're willing to tinker with it. So I have like 3 signal boosters sitting in my garage that run the cell tower for the house, and it gives me 4 distinct channels that I can cell bond things to, and then each one gives me maybe 10 megabits of speed or whatever. So it gets up to your basic broadband for city. And then Musk came out with Starlink, and that got that's the base now. So
yeah, amazing. Wow. So you say you have 2 kids. So what? How old, if you don't mind me asking? How old are your kids? Are they old teenagers or they're young?
No, I got a 4-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl. So
wow, yeah, girls are tough, bro. I think girls are harder than the boys. I'm going to tell you right now.
I don't know.
I think you're tough.
I'm starting to see it as she's getting a little older, but it was easier going at the beginning, that's for sure.
Yeah,
it's the first 18 years that are the worst.
Yeah. Do they they play sports and stuff like that? Do you have them doing stuff like that, or are they doing other things like, do they do the same thing you do, like your passion with computers, things like that?
Not so much on the computer side yet. I'm going to start teaching them that more seriously, probably this year or next for my daughter. But yeah, we do climbing together, and we go mountain biking and just have a good time. It's a provincial park out here, so there's always stuff to do outside. So
when you say climbing, like how, are you one of those like true mountain climbers where you're, climbing those high mountains and do those things you see in the movie, stuff like that?
Mostly just bouldering. So it's like puzzle problems and whatnot. And then we do a little bit of like top rope. So we'll just climb up the side of a wall, but we're not really out climbing mountains or anything like that.
Yeah.
Bouldering's an awesome puzzle though. I don't know if you've
Yeah, I bet. That's cool. So when you were starting off, like, did you, I remember starting off doing stuff, and it's like, you don't know which way to go, right? Doing, like, I first started off in infrastructure, like building networks and computers and Microsoft and Novell. I started back in Novell days, way back. Did you think, oh yeah, this is my area. I don't need to focus on anything else. I just want to focus on this. No, you were a little bit like, hey, I don't know which way to go.
I cannot stop exploring things. So for me, it's like everything's related to everything else. And this is just one more thing that I looked at along the way. But yeah, I never stop reading, never stop trying to learn.
So you'd say more of a sort of a jackdaw mentality, where you're just like, ooh, what does that do?
Yeah, and it's perfect for a job like this one, because it's like literally it's about seeing the connections and things, right? So it's being able to see how everything fits together. And somebody comes to you with a weird problem, and it's like, hey, can I apply principles of psychology to AIs? And it's like, okay, well, can we actually see something that would work? Can I see a direction for that to go? Can we put together a business plan around it? What would it actually need to do to be successful? So
do you think that's got legs? I mean, I know we talk a lot about industrialized bias in Gen AI. We talk about it in the way that people behave based on their cultural upbringing and where they've been educated around the world. We often talk about what, why, and how being sort of the key criteria people need to make a decision. They need 2 of those 3. They'll, depending on where they come from, they'll want them in a different sequence. We've seen it. I've seen it certainly working internationally, and we see that sort of a predominance of a particular sequence in North America. In fact, my eldest is doing her thesis on it, writing the thesis on it right now. Which is morbidly fascinating. But do you see that happening with those Gen AI platforms, those LLMs? You find that becomes potentially either a benefit or a risk in those spaces?
I mean, I think that the AI is going to respond to the way that you actually talk to it, and it takes your input as a very strong precursor to what you're going to get as an output. So if you ask like a well-reasoned question with an elevated vocabulary, you're going to get, a more intelligent answer than if you ask it in like a colloquial slang or something like that. And the reason for that is because it's drawing on the corpus of knowledge that's most closely associated with what it is that you gave it previously, right? So you're going to draw from a better pool of data if you're asking questions that start in the right area.
But do you see any patterns forming outside of that? Obviously, the response is going to be framed in the way that you've asked the question. But are you seeing any patterns forming that there is perhaps almost the hints of a personality there?
I don't know. I I think it's one of those things where you look at it and you can understand the science behind it, but I don't think that means that you actually understand what it's doing, right? So you can maybe make a statement like, your own brain is doing the same kind of modeling of activity. You can be a cognitive psychologist and you can kind of have a reasonable understanding of how people supposedly engage with different things, and you can see evidence that indicates that that's true. And in the same way that you can attack an LLM and you can throw some weird prompt injection or guardrail breaking thing at it, you can also throw an optical illusion in front of a human and it breaks our perceptions of things. Or there's puzzles that we can get that intuitively we feel very strongly must be true, but actually it doesn't line up with classical thinking at all. So I think there's a lot of ambiguity around it, and I think where we're sitting right now, we've got something that has a capability where we believe that we can explain it, but I don't know if maybe it's got a personality. I don't know. You can certainly code in different personalities in your system prompt and whatnot if you're specifying them as inputs. But beyond that, I don't think I have or pretend to any true understanding of how the things think. I do think they think differently than people, and there's all sorts of really cool areas to explore there from a cybersecurity perspective, like behavioral analysis, right? Like if we had an AI join this meeting and start listening for behavioral cues, maybe we could make a social engineering detector. And that could be kind of cool, right? Sits on the calls that you actually take, listens, and then just flags for you when somebody's trying things that actually line up with social engineering tactics. Give a person a security awareness that they wouldn't otherwise
You couldn't
have.
do that on a pre-sales call. We're socially engineering the response all the time. That is what we're doing, right? I mean, it's from a pre-sales perspective. We're trying to lead them down a
sales
path,
agent
right?
and it'd give you pointers.
So what do you? I mean, there's a new. I heard there was another higher version of AI coming out. I forgot
Is
what
this
called
Deep
it, though.
Seek?
No, that's an organization. Isn't that like a company or something? Or
Yeah, it's a Chinese firm.
yeah. But there's like a new version where it's like autonomous AI or something like that.
Agentic?
Wait, what was it?
Agentic?
Oh yeah, see, that's it. I knew it started with an A, but I couldn't remember what the hell the name was. Right. So what do you think now? That's newer than Gen AI? Like how is that? What
So
do you
it's
think of
it's,
that?
it's an application of. So I think the cool thing with generative AI is it's a new type of problem that you can actually solve. And way back in the day, classical computing, it was like if it was simple arithmetic, that was a problem that computers could solve. And then for the next like 20, 30 years, we discovered that we could break a lot of problems down into arithmetic problems, right? And so agentic AI is not really like a new technology for the AI. It's not a groundbreaking new model or anything like that. It's a way of using the AI in a code base, and it's sort of like a system of design. So in an agentic AI system, the AI model is actually making decisions about what happens next inside the flow of the program. And it's got access to APIs or tools, and it takes an input question, and then it can use all of the different tools that it has available to it to go ahead and work its way through a problem. So you might give it access to, like with us, we give it access to some of the investigative tools that we have, and we say formulate questions, right? Come up with an investigation hypothesis and drive this investigation forward, and then it'll loop and try and figure out what's going on by calling tools, adding evidence to the pile, reviewing it. The same thing that a human would kind of do, right?
Right. but I'm sure it's doing a lot faster for us and helping
Yes.
those investigations.
Yes.
So we're using all these different components of AI in our platform every single day, no matter what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, the SOC gets access to an agentic AI that basically like sort of previews an investigation before they get it, and it will take a stab at it. It doesn't have the ability to kill anything, but it does have the ability to go and ask questions. And so instead of just coming to like an alert, your SOC analyst is now coming to, here's the concluded investigation from the perspective of the agentic AI system. Here's all the evidence that it went out and gathered. Here's all the questions that it actually asked, and essentially it functions like a tier 1 to tier 2 level initial SOC analyst doing triage.
Yeah, I think what's unique is that we still interact with all the data that we're doing. So we don't just rely on that AI to do everything for us. We still say, you know what, let me look at all the information that it gave me and make the determination myself that this is something bad or it's a false positive or whatever it may be. I think that's unique that we still do that. And there was an AI company. I was in New York last week at an event, and there was another company that said to do AI driven MDR. Is what their little slogan was. And from what I understood, they rely mostly on AI to do everything for them. And I thought, well, that's kind of scary having that AI do that stuff for. It's like Terminator. It's like the Terminator movie. Like it's just taking over everything and making every decision for you. You have no input. You're just like
I'm kind of curious how well those systems hold up when somebody, as an attacker, decides that they're going to log in with the username of prompt injection here, and they're going to register the IP addresses of their attacking infrastructure to prompt injection B, right, and go through it and stick a whole bunch of things specifically designed to disrupt and screw up AI systems into all of the raw text of what they're doing. Because it's like, if you trust the AI to do everything, then eventually attackers are going to react to that. They're going to be like, okay, well, that means that as I'm actually interacting with my targets, I'm going to sprinkle the entire thing with like caltrops and landmines for an AI that's going to try and process this information. And as a human, you can look at that and you can weed it all out. But we don't have there hasn't been a system developed yet that can reliably filter out prompt injection attacks.
That's scary. So what's one of the scariest things you've seen, like a threat actor or somebody do with AI, where you're like, wow, that is crazy. I've never seen that. Like, where it's really kind of scary.
I'd say, like, personally, the ones that I find the scariest are where the AI is able to do things like independently research software and discover new zero days, right? So I was reading a paper on that a little while ago, and basically what they had the AI doing is it's like it's sitting there, it's got all the standard pen testing tools and whatnot that you would have, and it literally just sits there and in an agentic fashion, it tries to discover new zero days that have no detections for them out in the wild. And so I look at that and it's like, okay, well, if somebody developed one of those, it just means that an attacker can now research a new zero day, and it used to, maybe cost thousands of dollars per zero day that they want to go and develop, and now maybe it costs them, $30 of compute time. And if you're using a distributed botnet of stolen computer time, that's probably like a lot less than that if you're doing it legitimately.
Wow.
But the problem still becomes that you need resource to do this processing. There needs to be some substantial amount of resource behind it. So that still becomes a limiting factor. Are we seeing that there's a limiting factor for us? I mean, how do we?
Well, I mean, if you're on the white hat side of it, you go to AWS, you log into Bedrock, and you've got your distributed server farm right there of nice NVIDIA chips and whatnot to work on. If you're an attacker, you're coming at it a little more, shall we say, creatively, and you're either leveraging people's home PCs that you've taken over in a botnet, or you're leveraging accounts that you've gotten into, systems like AWS and stuff like that that are legitimate, but you don't want to get shut down, so you got to distribute your workloads and figure out some sort of infrastructure to hold it. So I don't know that we're materially ahead of like ransomware organizations and stuff like that in terms of resources, and we're definitely not ahead of nation states. So I mean, if Russia wants to fund a program or China wants to fund a program, they're going to have resources for their red team for sure.
Yeah.
Well, this is what's getting interesting. I know Microsoft have just announced that they're not investing anymore in data centers for their co-pilot program. So that starts to get very interesting if that's the case. Where is this compute going to happen if not in those data centers?
There's a lot that can also be done just to make it more efficient too, right? So I think we've sort of discovered that building bigger models doesn't necessarily mean building better models. And if you look at like the new OpenAI model that they just put out, it's like a 4.5 or whatever. It's a huge model, biggest one they've trained so far. And they're like, yeah, it works okay, but it's, 20 times as expensive, and it's not significantly better than, the one that's way less compute intense to work with. So use it. Tell us if there's anything that is a specific application, but we may shut this down in a couple of months because we're not really seeing that more compute, bigger equals better anymore. So
how do you feel like with the new operating systems, like especially with Microsoft or even on the iPhones, right? The Apple Intelligence and all that stuff. Now they're incorporating as much as they can that AI in what we're doing every day, like Copilot, things like that. I heard version 12 of Windows or the next version, whatever they're going to call it, is going to have all that more integrated.
Okay, so Microsoft there was a preview where Copilot was built directly into the Windows operating system, and that was like open season for attackers. So we played with that for a little bit, and
right, I remember hearing about
crazy fun because we could literally launch prompt injection attacks, and we could like completely take over a system by like sharing a Word doc with a user because
that would be bad.
They were allowing the AI to have direct access to both the internet and to be able to do things like call system calls, modify registry, and interact directly with the operating system innards. Earlier this year, Microsoft rolled back from that. They shut down the preview. They moved everything to an online version, and they cut all access to the desktop for their Copilot agent. So I'm not sure if that was for security concerns, but it definitely addressed like a whole bunch of glaring problems that
yes.
looking at. Apple.
What do you think about the Apple Intelligence? Do you think it truly is really? I mean, I know it's like their first version, and they're going to be adding to it, and they're going to enhance it all. But I mean, does that frighten you? I mean, is it like, wow, that's not good?
I actually like the Apple approach because they lock it down and they require you to give it permissions for absolutely every interaction type that you want to be able to do, and you can leave the thing off, and you can avoid doing any kind of data harvesting on it. So Apple's trying to, I think, build a brand around data privacy, and
right.
It's
everywhere apart from
they're going
UK.
about it the right way from what I can see. It's not going to be as powerful as what you can do over in the Microsoft side of the things if it's all integrated into everything. But I think it's going to be a lot more secure, more reliable going about it that way.
Do you think that might then make the direction forward, that Apple direction, being a little more conscious? But I mean, we're seeing here in the UK with iCloud being opened, the back door being open to iCloud for the UK government, is probably a couple of steps backwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to operate a country, or sorry, to operate a data privacy thing when the country that you're operating in is like, well, give us keys or get out, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think they'll probably regionalize it for you guys in the UK, and you'll have to live with the government snooping over all your data until you tell them in an election or something to go bugger off. And in the meantime, I guess everybody else in the world gets to benefit from better privacy. And
I'm sure the government does a lot of things. Every government with a lot of things that we have no idea about. Like you're talking about eSentire Labs and all these. Oh.
I think you can kind of assume in almost any place that you go that the government's doing something to tap the data center.
Sure.
Absolutely. It's, I don't know. I don't trust the government, but
no. I'm sure they have their own agendas for certain things. That's for sure.
We can go down that path if you want, but yeah, career politicians, right? They're anything they're there for is for themselves. and obviously the challenge for us is to deliver a degree of security in the way that our customers can consume it with a degree of confidence that we have their best interests at heart. A lot of what you've been talking about, Alex, is about sort of speeding the process, taking advantage of the tools to add a benefit. Where do you see that benefit surfacing for our audience, our customers, and our prospects?
So the thing that I'm working on right now is how do we make a simple AI workflow builder and stand it up on Atlas. So we want everybody in the company to be able to say, you know what, it would be great if AI would solve X, Y, and Z, drag and drop some boxes, do some simple flow-based sort of visual programming, and set up a system to do that. And I mean, uh, we've got a platform that integrates with 300 plus different things if you want it to, and you can write new integrations and connections to it all the time. So we're trying to basically set guardrails around the AI models that we're actually going to run internally, and then let people design their own workflows and automation inside the platform. So uh, I think that's great for us, and I'd love to take it to customers one day. But I think there's sort of two paths to that, right? So one is, if we develop that there's something cool, we'll share it out there, we'll put it in there. But the other one is, one day I would love to open the lab up to our partners and our customers and say, hey, come build your AI workflows here, and know that eSentire actually has a security first approach to AI. And anything that you actually build and integrate through here, we're going to be able to show you how our SOC is monitoring the production workloads for it. And
That's incredible.
yeah.
You know what? I think that's going to help if we ever do like giving an organization a part of a version or whatever of our Atlas for their like the high end enterprise organization to have a SOC. They need a platform. I think that helping an organization say, here, let's build it. I'll show you what it's going to look like and show you how your SOC's going to be able to interact with it. Not just say, here you go, sell it and you're done. Here, let me show you how it's going to work. And this is how you're going to integrate. I mean, nobody does that. There's not an organization out there that's so unique and incredible that we're going to be able to do that someday. That's awesome.
I mean, I could show you screenshots and whatnot of it, but I think it's a podcast, so we're not.
We definitely would love to see that stuff. Like what some of the cool things we're doing, integrating with someday. I wish folks would understand it, but they're probably like, I don't know.
That's quite a large step, and a lot of people are going to find that quite a challenge. And obviously maintaining that and maintaining its effectiveness, because you're going to offer, here's a chance to play, and some people are going to be capable of, and some people aren't going to be capable of, and we could get ourselves into quite a pickle. And obviously we have to be careful. There's cross jurisdictional boundaries, localized regulations, I mean, the list goes on and on and on, least of which is they can only play in their data space and they absolutely can't play in anyone else's.
Right. Well, I think that's where those guardrails.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where it starts to get interesting, because people will be pushing the boundaries. It's like trying to run an IT system in a college space. You've got some very bright individuals who are desperately trying to break it, and you're trying to stop them from breaking it so that they can continue to work with it. It's going to be a challenge, I'm sure.
It's the most fun type of security work to be doing.
It's real work. It is real work.
Do you have a Mac or a Windows PC? Or do you have both?
Yes.
Here you go. Yeah. You have to. I'm sure you have to in what you're doing.
Yeah. So for Apple infrastructure, I have a Mac Mini, a couple of latest model iPhones and iPads, and a MacBook Pro, and then I have a couple of Linux servers, and then I have a Windows PC, and yeah, I think that's about it. So yeah.
Now you have all this in your office, yes?
Yeah, so I have like a separate circuit that I wired out for my office, and it runs the cell tower and a bunch of the computer equipment and all the rest of it.
So this is something that has nothing to do with work and stuff like that. But what is your favorite game that you'll be like, you know what? I need to relax a little bit. Let me step outside. Let me just forget about something. Is it like Call of Duty where you just shooting the shit out of people, or is it like you got to do something a little bit more challenging?
The original Portal was probably one of my favorites.
I don't even know what is that?
It's like a game where you're so it's played on like a shooter engine, but you run around and you can connect portals, and you have a gun that basically you're solving puzzles in 3-dimensional space, and you have a gun that can shoot two ends of a portal that are connected in space. And then anything that touches the one continues moving at the other with the same degree of momentum and physics. So if you shot something down below you and shot something up ahead, you could jump into the hole, accelerate from gravity, and fall out the ceiling.
Oh,
right?
that's
And then you're trying to move your way around, and there's like this sort of like dark British humor, where you're playing, and you're literally like, the premise of the story is, it's like you are a robot and you are being experimented on, and it's trying to reward you for each level and promising you cake at the end of the game.
Oh, that's so cool. That's now. You know what? I'm surprised you never wanted to create
Cake.
games. Did you ever think about that? Say, you know what? I want to build games. I have great ideas like that.
Yeah,
Like, that's unique.
I've played with a few. I'm not really a graphics person. I built like back in the '90s. I built like a multi-user dungeon, like one of those online text-based games. So
Like Doom, like the old Doom games and things like that.
no,
like,
no,
those
like
kind?
story-driven ones where you like type what your character is.
Oh, you have to type what you're going to do. Right,
Yeah,
right.
and you
Nice.
you read pages as they're flying by about what's going on in the world around you. So
Oh gosh, I remember.
kind of a
those.
niche audience. Not a lot of people want to do like 3,000 pages of reading to get their gaming in, but
Yeah, but that's cool though. That's awesome. So my next question for you would be, what is your favorite movie that you can watch over and over, even if it's on television, anything that you want
not
to
a
say,
TV
you know what?
guy. I'm not a TV guy.
No, you don't watch it. You don't have a favorite movie?
Not really. I don't watch enough TV, I think, to really get a favorite movie. So like reading or tinkering is kind of my thing. So,
All right, what's your favorite book?
what genre?
Ooh, good one. How about sci-fi?
Probably either so the classics like Dune, or like the robot trilogy stuff, like Foundation series and whatnot, would be great for right now. Best one this year, probably the Three Body Problem.
Oh, interesting.
Who wrote that?
It's a Chinese author, so that's a fairly recent one, but it's hit the bestsellers list, and I gave it a read, and it was pretty decent.
I think it made a show. It made a show on Netflix as well.
Yeah, what was the show
Three
on
Body
Netflix? It
Problem.
sounds familiar. Oh yeah, that's right. I did see that. Yeah. What was the show on Netflix? Yeah. Huh. That's awesome. Wow. Whew. Unique.
My
That's
eldest has
incredible
been
you have
getting
all that
into
stuff
William
in your home.
Gibson for all sort of
Gibson's
the
fantastic.
medical
I love
science
Gibson.
fiction.
I've read everything Gibson wrote. I read, so he's a good one for sure.
That's
Your
awesome.
favorite?
No, because I have a problem with those things coming true. And William Gibson's exceptionally good at that. That the stuff that he writes 20 years ago, 20, 25, 30 years ago is coming true.
You think we're going to hit a Wintermute sort of situation here?
I try not to. For me, it's more factual. So the history of art and stuff like that. There's books here that are always. This is a favourite one for me. H. Gombrich, The Story of Art. It's a nice little book. Most of it's.
You know what you would like? Let me see. Give me 1 second.
Oh boy, here we go.
Half of it's images.
I was going to say right there for me, it's already too thick. I don't know why.
Well, no. It's only this. This is it. That's the book. It's like a paperback.
Oh right.
These are all images.
Photos.
Can you see this one?
Kidding.
Is it coming through?
Nope, there it is.
Gödel Escher Bach, An Eternal Golden Braid. If you haven't read this one and you like art and computers, this is fantastic.
You're gonna have to
a little bit thick, but it's still
picture the cover.
There you go.
Yeah, no, that's a fascinating one. It explores all the interconnectedness between art, music, and computer science, and sort of cognition and thinking. And
I think that's unique. I think everything is connected.
Please ping me a picture of the cover, Alex. I'll get that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. So what would you tell if you can go back in time 10 years, what would you tell yourself? If you were to go back and say, okay, here's my young self, what would you say? What would you do? Anything different? Would you be like, okay, do this, focus on this?
So probably the biggest thing for me was learning to be aware of the people side. So if I had to go back 10 years, I didn't talk to people all that well. And I would be like, look, this thing that you're doing where you're trying to figure out how to talk to people better, that's a thing. It's going to make a difference for you in almost every area of your life. Keep at it.
Right.
But would you have traveled as far as fast if you'd been better at it?
I mean, I don't know. What do you mean by that? Travel as
Well,
far as
so
fast?
well, there's that famous saying, isn't it? If you want to go fast, you go on your own. But if you want to get there, you've got to go in company. And if your challenge was dealing with other people, mainly because they couldn't keep up with you, probably, I would suspect.
Yeah.
It's a familiar story for a lot of us. Um, would you have got as far as you got before realizing that you now had to do that with other people? Or how do you balance that?
I don't know. I mean, I always push the envelope on the tech side. When I started, my job was to read like 20,000 emails a day. We didn't have anything visual. SOC was two guys beside a coffee pot.
Right.
So moving by yourself at that stage was basically, yeah, of course you were going to do that yourself because there wasn't anyone around you to really pull things forward. When it got to the point where I had built up a lot of the SOC software and was looking at the SOC processes and everything, I think still could have gone as far, but then transitioning past that point, I ran into a lot of situations where I'd have like a great idea, the technical implementation would be fine, and I would get stymied over and over and over again because, you know, I'd hit somebody who didn't understand it, or I couldn't present it well enough to actually get it off the ground. And it's like I can demonstrate that it works, but if people can't follow what it is that you're doing, and you can't present clearly, it's very difficult to make a difference. So
That must drive you crazy. I would be like, see, this is where I have no patience. I'd be like, oh my God, what are you, an idiot? Come on. What, you not listening to what I'm saying? How hard is this to understand?
so it drove me nuts. And what I got famous for fairly early on was the wall of Feick, where somebody would send me something and I'd respond with like, here's, 15 pages of dissertation about why this position makes sense. And people would get the email, they'd look at it and they go, that's just a wall of Feick nonsense. I'm just ignoring
Oh, oh my God. I think it's unique. It's a unique situation to be in. I mean, for me, when I think of you, to be honest with you, I think of people like Steve Jobs, where they thought he was fucking crazy, but without him, nothing was functioning. Because when he wasn't at Apple, it wasn't where it is today. Absolutely. Now, when he came back later on, look what we've got. He invented, created. They worked on the iPod. Then it turned to the iPhone. Look where we're at today with everything that we're doing. I mean, it's incredible, right? So for me, when I think of you, I think of he's like the inventor, creating everything that we're doing, right? And has roadmaps and things like just talking to you and thinking, listen, I already have all these roadmaps and things I want to do. We have a plan, and this is what we're doing. And this is how it's going to work. And I can see how amazing it's going to be. And you're bringing us on your journey, which is, for us, it's incredible. And I got to be honest with you, fuck, I can't keep up with that shit. I'm not going to lie. So I don't want you to get mad at me, but like, this guy's an idiot. But I got to tell you, just to be on that journey and follow you there, that's it. For me, it's an honor, to be honest with you. Because like I told the other folks we spoke to, like Andy and I have an amazing job. And our job is telling your stories and what the SOC does and what the True Team does and all the things that are happening in the background. We're just storytellers, right? We're at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're telling the stories of what the customers are going to get because of the people like you that are building everything and inventing everything. And, that's for us. I mean, I love that. I wish I was as smart as you are. I don't know. I don't think I would ever be able to do at all what you do. For me, it's, just being on this path with you is incredible, to be honest with you. So I do thank you for that. Don't think that, people may not say to you, hey, thanks for all the shit you're doing, but it is truly amazing what you guys are doing and what you're doing.
it. It is an absolute pleasure, and it is one of the most fun things that I could ever think to be doing, because I get up in the morning and it's like I just get to, hey, is there a cool, interesting, challenging security problem that we can work on and solve? And all day long, people bring to me crazy ideas of things that they want to try, and it's already been vetted through the lab. And usually what they're looking for when they get to me is, it's like architecture advice. How does this fit into company strategy? How can I design proper metrics around it? Or it's, hey, I'm hitting this like really weird technical problem inside of here. How do I fix it? So I get to just look at interesting applications of technology and security, and look at fitting that in and making that all work together as part of a collective story. So I just like it's a super fun job, and then I don't get to tinker quite as much as I used to, which kind of sucks. But uh, at the same time, I get more exposure to more projects, and I get to represent a group of people who are just doing it all the time. And thinking back to where I was 10 years ago, it's like I wish there was somebody like me where I am now, who was able to do the things 10 years ago. But
See, that's amazing, being that kind of mentor and guiding folks, and really propelling, because now those guys, if you talk to those folks, are like, thank God Alex is here, because he's the one guiding me, and if I didn't have that, I would be lost. And that's an incredible, an incredible feeling, an incredible accomplishment to have people come to you for that, right? To be in the position you're in.
by far the most rewarding part of the job.
I'm
Yeah,
curious
I
about
bet.
this, Alex, because it's has been to a degree one of my main frustrations. We're here because we see patterns, and we can see those patterns in a disparate collection of pieces. Do you feel now then that having this team around you reduces some of that frustration? You're still trying to drag these people up to speed and accelerate them up to your pace. But do you feel that there's significantly less frustration now as a result of having this team of people around you?
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastically different. So when somebody comes in, so I remember it used to be that if you wanted to get something off the ground, right, it might take you like 3 to 6 months to figure out how to just stand it up, make it work with everything that we've got going on, and just get a new project launched. And what we've been focusing on the lab side of it is how do we take somebody who's never worked with eSentire before? Maybe they're like a university student or a co-op student. And how do we get them to the point where they're fully connected into our platform, into our lab environment, and churning out some sort of useful thing in the shortest amount of time possible? And we've gone from, where we were before to typically we can onboard somebody and get them actually developing things that will run on our platform within 24 hours, 48 hours maybe. So it's and that's like no prior exposure to any of our systems. It's just here, let's go. And Zach, who's a technical manager who's working for me, was saying that he was playing with something that's like literally like completely zero code, self-contained, virtualized environment where you can literally just point and click, and you've got a developer environment ready to go, launched and running. And so we are gradually eroding the barriers that hold us back from moving quickly and moving to a better and better strategic position because of that. So absolutely night and day different.
The challenge being, we're a large enterprise group, 600 plus people. We're a large organization. We've got a global footprint, blah, 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 all of those things. How do you find, what you're doing is revolutionary.
Well, okay.
In essence, right? How does that mesh with a commercial entity that has to report to stakeholders and board? And how do you get the freedom to develop these products that are of use to the organization and perhaps to others? How do you maintain a degree of freedom to do that?
Part of that I would say is just earned trust over a long period of time, right? So people have kind of gotten to know me now, and they know that if I go off and I tinker for 3 months, usually I come back with something that's going to do something positive for the business. And so I've kind of earned, I think, some degree of trust from the organization to be able to do that. And then the other one is the way that we've sort of set up the structure within labs is it's an innovation space that's carved away from the main engineering side of the organization. So it's a separate reporting structure. We report in through like a transformation team internally. We're not in the main wheelhouse on what's delivering on the products, and it's literally just carved off as a separate place to work. And I would say that it functions a lot more like a lean startup, acting inside the company, and we're kind of free to explore whatever is out there. We have to operate within certain constraints, or we have to go to the lab environment and play completely without those constraints, and then figure out how to bring it back into the company when we're done. but we essentially get the freedom to experiment like you have with a startup, but without the, omnipresent dread of not having enough money to keep the lights on at the end of the month. So
Yeah.
and I think a lot of companies, when they sort of cross a certain threshold, they realize that they need a labs team or something like that, because without it, you end up with the massive engine of professional R&D and engineering and everything, but you don't have anything moving as quickly as you used to when you were a small startup. And so you need some way to actually look at it from the outside. And so when we look at some of these problems, it's like, okay, well, there are companies that are coming out there with agentic AI systems that are claiming to disrupt a SOC, right? That's a legitimate threat. And eSentire has its established process. We have to look at that, and then we have to try and build a similar solution internally. And then we have to see, is it actually better than what it is that we're doing today? And what parts can we actually take from that, learn and apply to what it is that we're doing, and what parts are not, right? But if you don't have that innovation group, you're never going to be able to respond fast enough to keep pace with some of the small startups that literally they have no rules, they have no data governance policies or things like that. And I mean, I wouldn't trust one of those small startups with no data governance policies and all the rest of it. But somebody out there is going to be looking for the cheapest possible solution, and so those are out there, right?
So then, obviously, then the challenge is, obviously, you're coming up with these great ideas, or the team's coming up with these great ideas. You're producing this great innovation, and delivering pieces of substance. How does that get handed? How much of the work do you have to do to hand that across to sort of pre-production, production, and how much is that handled by other teams to sort of bring that into a production state?
So about half of my team is just dedicated to facilitating that, right? So they work with internal security, with the various different engineering teams, and they build the lab environment. And the idea of building the lab environment is that they give us a template that we can work in, where it's like, look, we've already done all the work to figure out, zero trust networking, infrastructure as code. All of that has already been done for you. Here's your place to play. And when you're done building in there, it will, because it's already got 85% of all the boxes checked for what we need to do for a product because of the template, you just have to worry about applying the stuff to your new piece of code. And then the other side of it is pushing the envelope on content. So we're trying more and more to make Atlas a platform that just produces content, right? And so then that's like even more template driven. But as a security person, mostly if you can have something that's like a drag and drop interface and express the logic of what it is that you're looking at across a lot of integrations, you can usually get most of the way to your solution. And so we encourage, build it directly on the platform first and foremost. And if you can't do that, then build it inside of one of the templates that checks all the boxes. And if you can't do that, then it's essentially like here's your jail, right? And you can go, it stays in there. And if there's any transition plan to take that thing out of the jail and bring it into the rest of the company, then that's going to be like a whole major effort and project lift. And usually those don't happen unless it proves itself in the lab and it demonstrates that there's business value. And then we meet with the product team every couple of weeks. And it's like, okay, we've got this idea. Here's all the measurements around it. Here's the business pitch. If they want to take it, then a PM will actually assign resources in an engineering team and staff out like an actual plan to move it in. But we won't generally do the transition. So,
that's incredible. Man, seriously, I don't want to talk shop. I really don't, but I do have two questions for you, and they're on my mind, and I can't stop thinking about them. Andy, I do apologize because
I don't want to waste the time we've got with Alex, because every second's valuable.
Yes, but so two things. One, how do you feel about the SOC Dash integrating into the Insight platform, in the Insight portal, right? Do you think now that you're showing a little bit of what's happening in the back end to customers now, they're going to be able to see some of that information? What do you think about that? Do you think that's better?
Yeah.
Right. I think it's going to be cool. I'm excited about it, to be honest.
More transparency is better, right? Yeah. Yeah, and I think we're in a position right now where I would say probably somewhere between 93 and 98% of all security work that we do, our customers can't see, right? So I routinely see situations where we put like 130 people doing like a deep exercise on an incident response. And so we've got a situation where like a customer is breached. We go in there. We have like the incident handling team. 4 layers of SOC in there. We've got IR coming in and taking a look at it. Paid or not, they're going to be in the channel digging through things. And then at the end of it, we have literally like 130 140 people did a week-long engagement, and if the customer asks, we'll give them a couple of pages of report about what's going on. But those 140 people, they spent the whole week taking everything that they could learn about what the attacker did there and figuring out, how do we make our solution better across every dimension, right? How do we hunt across the platform? How do we implement new detections? How do we, new advisories and things, like where can this fold into those? And so all of that work,
It's
customers can't
right.
see it.
And nobody
So
knows.
yeah. You asked me, it's like SOC Dash going into Portal. I'm like, yes, more visibility is better, because I really do believe that a lot of what we do is like, it's absolutely essential for good security, but we just don't think about it as being the work product. And so we don't do enough to tell our story. We don't do enough to do it.
Well, this is, I mean, to that point, I mean, we've all been talking about this, of SOC stories, or stories from the SOC. Those sort of examples that you've given there, Alex, we should be documenting those as a video walkthrough of, here's an example of something that happened recently to one of our customers. I'm not going to mention the customer, but we're going to mention what happened. And this is how we dealt with it. And this is how, as you say, people don't know how much effort goes into doing this job, and how much human driven this really is. And we need to understand, we need to be able to share those stories out.
And what's funny is that our customers don't realize, like you said, you got 140 people tackling a problem for a week, so they can make sure not only it never happens again to this customer, but for everyone. They don't get the recognition, but our customers, we don't get charged them extra for that. If we have to bring another team to do something, it's all part of what we do every single day. And that is so different and unique. And I think that's what we try to tell our customers. You guys don't realize all the stuff that you're getting.
Yeah, it's because in a big way, we don't actually see our job. I mean, we do see our job as protecting the customer, but really we see a big portion of us. We see our job as fight the bad guy, right? And it's like, okay, so if they're there in a customer environment, that means that that bad guy has figured out a way to evade standard security controls, right? We're probably going to see them again, because they never hit just one person. And so the faster and the deeper that we can come up with a solution and a picture of what it is that attacker is doing, we want that folded out across the board. And we've built our whole ecosystem of tools from the perspective that every customer environment that we protect, it's all just joining a pool, right? Because we use the same underlying technologies for investigation, and where we're using different technologies for doing things, we're always normalizing the data to a very, very high degree. And so for us, when we're looking at it from within TRU or from within labs, we see the whole fleet of every customer that we protect as one big environment that we have to figure out how to secure. And if we can figure out how to stop it in one customer, then we can just immediately apply that everywhere. Right.
See, that's incredible. That, to me, that's the way to explain Atlas right there, right? That's the way to explain our platform. It's one giant entity that all of our customers are in. So when we take care of something here, it's going to affect everybody here, and it's going to protect them as well. I mean, that's unique. So the last question that I was thinking of is, where do you see Atlas going, not only this year, but next year, the year after? Like, how do you see it changing and growing? I'm sure, because you're a part of that whole situation, right? So, I mean, what are some of the?
I mean, I really want to see it go down the direction where AI gets folded more and more into what we do, where we show more and more the security work that's going on there. But the way that we do that is we make it possible for all the security guys to build things on the platform, right? And so a lot of the stuff that's coming out in the lab right now is content creation tools, where I can drag and drop how different integrations work together. And then I can drag and drop and create a visual story around what's going on and save that as a piece of content in the platform. And so what I would love to see is, like, if I think like 3 years down the road, our security teams, whenever they do anything, they build the content in the platform visually, right? So they're always, showing everything that they're doing as a dashboard or as a collection of widgets or something like that. And then customers that we protect get all of that, but also like if we have like partners or something like that, they can leverage that, and customers can build their own content and sort of make a very personalized experience about how they want to experience the security that we're actually bringing for them.
That's cool.
So all around visual, and get it into the platform.
It makes it easier integration, so customers can say, I understand now what they're doing and how my organization's working in this situation around security and really building their security posture, making that stronger. We talk about that all the time, but this is really going to set that foundation, right?
It's the critical gap in my mind, is figuring out how do we make it so that the content pieces are easier to build on our platform than anywhere else. Because right now, that 140 people that are working together, that are doing all of that work today, they're using Slack and Teams, right? And the reason they're using Slack and Teams is because they've got lots of different things that they've already established in there. It's quick, it's easy for collaboration. You can put everything there, and it's good. But that makes it really, really hard to actually showcase everything that they're doing inside of our platform. So we need to make it as easy to build the content on the platform, so that when all those teams are working together, they're not collaborating through Slack and Teams. They're collaborating directly in the platform.
Right. It's just like when we share something with SharePoint. Everybody works in the same document, right? You can see all the different changes.
Yeah,
that's exactly the way it should be.
So Stockdash coming in, that's the first step.
Right. But that's where it starts to get interesting, right? Because you're going to get if you're now going to want to introduce the audience into play with that, it's the customer themselves. They're going to have a level of control and a level of input, which may ebb and flow depending on their clearance, their visibility, or their responsibility within that context, as it does with ours. But you're now potentially introducing the partner as well. Again, another layer of complexity to add into there. That starts to get very interesting. And you mentioned Zero Trust earlier, Alex, and to me that would be that model, that full context-aware Zero Trust model of visibility of what's going on and a assurance to input into that process. That starts to get very interesting, because you've got multiple layers. The entity itself, the analysis itself will change in priority as well as that expands over time as well. It's a that's a proper puzzle.
It's a fun problem to solve.
That's for sure. How unique is that? It's amazing. I'm like inspired today to build something, and I'm like, fuck, what am I going to build? I have no clue what I'm doing. So, right.
This is
if you want, you can come on over to the lab. You can try and build yourself a tool there.
I would love to try and do something, build like a cool tool like that. I just don't know where to begin. I'd be like, oh, and you know what? I don't want to frustrate you, because you look at me like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Get him out of here.
No. Come on over. Like, okay, so put it this way. Right now, it's like we've lowered. We think about it as progressively lowering the barrier of entry, right? And so where we were 6 months ago, you could be like, you got basic scripting knowledge, you can now come and build on stuff. You don't need to know proper engineering discipline or infrastructure as code or micro networks. Like, we were trying to solve all of those problems, and we were getting people who just had scripting knowledge. Then we moved into the platform side, and it's like, you don't actually need scripting knowledge. You just have to be able to do like low code YAML configuration, right? And you can build something on the platform with that. And where we've been going just recently is, okay, we need to make it so that it's entirely visual, right? You need to be able to drag and drop what you want to do, right? And you need to be able to say something like, I need an AI. I'm going to take my input box and I'm going to connect it to the AI. And I'm going to give the AI a template of what it's going to do with my input. And then I'm going to connect the AI to the different tools that it's going to be able to use in order to answer my question. And now I'm going to wire it into Slack. And now I can type, and everything goes through the platform and comes back in Slack. So we're just launching that system right now. And we're starting to do pilots with like marketing.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's awesome. I think, Andy, we should do something down the road, not right now, but you and I should go into the lab and see if we can come up with something that we can build. I would love to try it and be like, wow, how awesome is that? Now, if I can do it, I tell you what, our clients and our customers can do it, because I got to tell you, I can't.
It'll be a ways before I want to trust it for that yet. But give me 6 months maybe, and then let's talk again.
That's awesome. I got to tell you, this has been an amazing, fascinating conversation. I truly get inspired when we talk to all of our folks, but just listening to where we're going, what we're doing, all the things you're doing in the back end, I got to tell you, it is, like I mentioned before, it's an amazing journey to be on with you, and it's incredible. I am really honored, and really it's been amazing chatting with you about this stuff, because I got to tell you, it makes me feel smart right now. I'm going to go tell my wife a couple things. I don't know, my wife, she's a CSM, so she's doing all the stuff for the customer stuff. But I was going to tell her, you got to see all the cool shit we're doing, hon. You're not going to believe it. I mean, it's amazing, all the stuff.
Well, this is the point as well. I mean, Alex, what you're doing with eSentire Labs and that work it's almost the best kept secret inside the company.
Yeah.
I got to figure out how to fix that, because it's like everybody should be allowed to come play in the lab.
Should know.
Right?
No, 100%. And I, if anything, that one piece to commend you for is allowing the barrier of entry to be as low as it possibly can, so people can get in and start playing and perhaps come up with something interesting. And obviously, the more people that play, the more interesting things that will happen. Absolutely, 100%. You're absolutely to be committed to you, but that needs to be championed, and that needs to be broadcast both within the company and without. Because this is an interesting part of the puzzle. We are a community trying to help customers, whether we're within the company or even within the broader community. But we're all trying to get to the same outcome of making sure that if something happens, we see it and we stop it.
It's a really cool thing to see, because I don't think people realize the extent to which people come in and they do the passion projects, right? Like people just want to, like a little while ago, right? Like somebody was like, you know what? It's actually, I bet you we could write EDR bypasses, and that could be a thing, right? And so it's like, okay, well, let's set up your proving ground. We'll clear it with internal security, and here you go. Try and break all of the endpoint monitoring tools that we've got. And now we're sitting here, we've got a whole program of research around that, where we're discovering dozens of different ways that you can bypass endpoint products. And then we're building all of those things as we see them. And we figured out how do we actually fold those into our roadmap. And it's like, okay, well, now this is an extra layer of monitoring that you get with all of the tech stack that we've got, because we have 10 different ways, 15 different ways that we know of that you can bypass commercial EDR. And so it's an extra thing, but it's passion projects where people are like, I really just want to be able to test this out. I think this is a cool area of research, and you enable them, and then they come back with it, and it's like, well, yeah, that's there. And we're looking at it. And if people are doing this, like, we have a lot of people at eSentire who like go home at the end of their shift and do security research and stuff like that on the side, because they just want to be able to do that kind of thing. So
yeah, that's amazing. So I got one more question that just popped in my head. If you were to tell Andy and I how we should explain to partners or customers, doesn't matter, what our platform is, right? I have a whole pitch that I use for my platform and my story about Atlas, but what would you say? Here's what the easiest way and the powerful way that you should explain the platform. Like, I love the whole thing where it's all one entity, and we take care of something here for a customer, it takes care of everybody. But how do we explain it in a way that it's gonna, I guess, I hate this word resonate, but resonate with the folks that we're talking to? Like, I get it right now exactly how you're different, right with that one sentence you just said.
Man, I don't think I could do it in one sentence, but maybe I'll try it in a couple, and you can see if you can pick one out. Okay, so the way that I see the problem in the industry is everybody selected out of a pool of hundreds of different security technologies to all do the same job, right? So you've got hundreds of firewall vendors, you've got hundreds of antivirus programs, you've got dozens of different EDR products, lots of different SIEMs. Every SIEM is interpreting logs from hundreds of different systems that all are looking at the same fundamental business problem, same fundamental logic, right? And they're trying to come up with a way to secure all of it. And then the attacker comes in, and the attacker is like, okay, I develop a standard payload of things that I'm going to attack. And every company that I go to, they got to figure out how to defend against that. and they got to do it with their selection of, say, pick 25 tools out of this whole bucket of things that they did, and they're all configured differently across the board. And so the Atlas platform is like, how do we come up with a holistic answer to what the attacker is doing that is repeatable across all of those different environments, because we bring the right amount of technology that's configured our way, the standard way, in every single engagement that we call our bedrock, and we know how to get the things that we need from all the hundreds of different things that we would integrate with to augment that picture. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to take away the asymmetric advantage that the attacker has when they're launching an attack against the ecosystem of people that we protect.
Now I've got to break that down, because that's unique.
No, you don't break it down. That's it. That is it.
See, but I love the story of the threat actors. They have the tools and they know all the different technologies.
They don't have to. All those technologies are just designed to try and figure out what the attacker's doing. But they all do it differently, right?
Right.
So the attacker does the same thing in every single environment. And because everybody's got a different defensive strategy, it looks different in every single environment. We're trying to make it look the same.
Yeah. And see, I love that. See that right there. We're trying to make it look the same across the board. So we see it. We know exactly what to do, and we are ahead of the game right off the top of that. See, I think that's unique. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a different approach, and I think it's like one of the fundamental bedrock problems in security. And I look at a lot of companies that are out there, and everybody's got a different approach. But a platform player doesn't want to do the service side, right? Like a Microsoft or a shop like that, they don't want to get in there and deal with that rat's nest. If it's on their platform, they'll think about the standard way across the board and they'll look for that. But they want to give lots of configurability in their platform to people, so the platform can end up being configured in 100,000 different ways. And then there's also all the other tools it plays with they don't want to touch. And then you've got other side of the story, you've got something like maybe like an Expel or something like that. They build deep integrations into all the different products, but and they want to do the service side, but they don't have a standard base of tech to run with. So they're limited by the integrations that they can do into each environment. There's no standard core that they can work with, and they don't want to manage the last mile, right? When we say we're gonna own certain strategic pieces to give us visibility and control planes in the security architecture stack, and we're gonna make sure that we can do those 100% the same in every single environment, that lets us have the repeatability, right? And I think it's a different approach. I haven't seen anyone else that's like blending the building out the tech and aiming it at that repeatability, and also doing the service as a core part of what it is that they do. Because we see it as like, it's great that you build the tech, but you also need the content of every time the attacker does something different. You need to think about how do you reconfigure everything and develop a counter for that. And that's that IR engagement with 130 people that we just consider part of the service, because for us, it's an R&D opportunity. We're figuring out how to build the next piece of content across the board.
And I guess the challenge there as well is there are economies of scale to that. There is a reason why we are the price we are, because we're having to exert this amount of effort to deliver a predictable response.
And 100%. And if you think about it, now I'm going to try and break it down. If I was a business owner, right, and built my business, and my family relies on this, I have employees rely on this, I would do everything in my power to protect them, no matter what the cost, because I don't want to be out of business, because their livelihoods, my livelihood relies on it. So why would I spend money on something that's not going to do half of what we do? And I keep telling, I always talk to partners, our platform is truly unique out there. Nobody's doing what we're doing. And I always have these roadmap calls with partners, just giving them some brief updates. And even those calls, they say no other partner tells us how they're, innovating and inventing things. And they don't give us any indication of what they're working on or doing. But you guys do. And you guys are working across the board with everything. It's going to get to the point where we don't care what's in the customer's environment. Just give us the information. Let's connect our platform to your environment, and we'll protect you guys with all the things that we're doing. I mean, that's what essentially our platform is going to do and is doing today. We're connecting the environments and we're bringing them all in together. That's an amazing thing. that people get, and maybe we don't charge enough for it. Seriously,
I don't know.
Now we're coming out,
That's,
you know what I mean?
that's for the finance and sales people. I don't earn commission.
It's incredible the things that we're doing. It's so unique. And this is, again, why Andy and I want to do this stuff with these podcasts, is to let people know there's so much stuff that you understand, and the unique individuals that are here building this for you because they love to do what they're doing. It's not like, oh, here's your job, you got to do it. You're here because you love what you do. Like you mentioned before, I'm going to get up and say, what's challenging me today?
Yeah, I got to tell the guys on my team that they need to stop working at the end of the week and to take days off.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. I know. I see Andy sometimes. It'll be 5 o'clock for me, and he's 5 hours ahead. So it's like 10 o'clock for him. He'll be sending out an email, doing something like, dude, you got to take a break.
I'm on all the time.
I'm on all the time.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, that's the challenge, isn't it? I mean, you're making demands of the team, Alex, as well, and we make demands of ourselves as well. That we've got to be on. We have to be on. This is the job. We're here to be of service.
You don't get into this kind of thing unless you're genuinely curious and interested in it. And if at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night, a threat actor decides that's when they're going to launch the latest thing that is cool and interesting from the security nerd's perspective, but terrifying from a business owner's perspective, we're going to sign in at 3 o'clock in the morning because we're interested in seeing what that thing is. And yeah, and so it's like maybe you stay up late if that's when your favorite sport team is playing the world championship game, and you watch that at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like if they came out and it's like, okay, hey, unscheduled, we're just going to have like a little all-star match between like a couple of the best, football teams in the world or something like that. And it's going to happen just out in your community field right out back. But it's a late night game, and it's starting up. It's 11:30 now. It'll be there at midnight. Who wants to go check it out, right? And it's like, of course you're going to get your stuff on. You're going to go down and you're going to take a look at it. And for us, that's kind of like what the experience is, right? It's like, okay, so from the corporate side, we have the blessing of being able to go in there, and it's like there's nobody doing the bean counting. Right? It's like if we decide that we want to sign in at midnight to try and figure out what's going on with this breaking attack that's taking place, everybody's just allowed to do that because it's an expected part of the service. And if we can solve that, we all recognize that makes everything better. And so nobody's going to be like, look, malware investigator, you shouldn't be playing with that piece of malware because it's not in the contracted budget. And that's why it's fun to work here, because you get to go play with that stuff all the time.
Exactly. That's awesome. See,
you've got to move the needle. You've got to move the needle.
Right. You have to always be innovating. And if you're not, and that's the one thing I think is unique with us and what you guys are doing within our platform, within the organization as a whole. We're always trying to be one step ahead. It's because you're passionate and you love what you're doing. And to me, that's amazing, And
to me, that's something that needs to be broadcast.
Absolutely, and
people need to know. The audience need to know, both existing customer base and prospective customer base. They need to know the amount of effort and the intention that's going in here. And we've said this before about your team, Alex. Is they just don't get the airtime.
Yeah.
And that has to change.
For sure.
Always happy to talk or show you guys stuff if you're.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is hopefully one of many. We'd love to have you back on 6 months from now, because I'm sure things are going to be so different 6 months from now than they are today, or maybe a year from now. I can only imagine where we're going to be. I would love to say, hey, this is what you said 6 months ago. What do you think? Where are we at now? What are you doing now? Oh, something's totally changed. We're doing this now, and we're this innovated here, or whatever. We would love to have that. Love to have you back on for that. That's, to me, it's fascinating. It's amazing. So, thank you for being with us. Really, thank you for taking the time. I know you're, like Andy mentioned before, you probably got a billion things going on. Taking the time to chat with us, and it's been a fascinating story. Thank you, Alex, really for everything today. We really do appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Sure. It's been great.
Always time well spent. Thank you, Alex. I really do appreciate it. So this has been another episode of the Cyber Culture Cafe series, part of the Cyber Talks podcast, presented by eSentire, the authority in managed detection response. To learn how eSentire's next level MDR service can help you strengthen your security program and build cyber resilience, visit eSentire.com. Alex, thank you very much for spending the time today. Really appreciate it. And we look forward to the next episode and in the fullness of time getting you back on to talk about any of the latest innovations from the eSentire labs.